Veterans Services. So welcome, Phil. It's really nice to have you on the show.
That's great to be here. Great to be here in our county and great to serve.
Yes. And since people on a podcast can't see us, I do have to mention that we both showed up with Hawaiian shirts today, and they're both blue.
They're both blue, nice colors.
Yes.
I've got a few ships on mine and the Navy emblem on top since I
Sure.
was a sailor.
Absolutely. And I don't have the right to wear that shirt because I was not. So
Well,
there you have it.
it's a great shirt.
Exactly. So what's going on with Veterans Services in the county?
Well, there's a lot going on. We're talking to people every single day. That's our job, is to go out and talk. I'm the Veterans Outreach Coordinator for the county. So my job is to go find the veterans. And then we have the Veteran Service Officer, which is Brian Galicia, and Angela, she's our representative. And their jobs are to be an advocate for the veteran. So all those people that were in the war, not in the war, but served in the military, it doesn't matter when, we want to talk to you. It's important. There's a lot of benefits that you have available to you that you're not using. And that's the concern, is that there's so many veterans that are out there that don't come forward, have problems, don't get addressed by VA, and then have problems in later in life when they need help the most.
So what will stop someone from coming to the VA and trying to find out what benefits that they do have?
Well, the funny part about it is, in the older days, VA was really a hard place to go. I always say it was pain management,
Okay.
the way VA was set up. So back in the 80s and 90s, you'd go in and they kind of felt like their job was to get you out of there.
Right.
So it wasn't pleasing. There was a lot of people shuffling through all the time, a lot of medical doctors. I remember I went in, I think 4 times and saw 7 different doctors, and they were all my prime doctors at one particular time. They covered about a month. And so I felt like, well, I'm not going to go back either. It's kind of crazy in there. But it's really changed. It's changed in the last 4 to 5 years. There's been a lot of focus on veterans. There's been a lot of focus on veterans' health. And so the VA has changed from being this adversary. Like any company or any business, there's always problems here and there because you're dealing with people. And there's people in VA that make it tough. But overall, healthcare is great. The doctors tend to be there a long time. I've had the same doctor for 7 years now as my primary doctor. So it's not like it used to be where it was just shuffling people through. And they genuinely care about what happens to you.
You know, it's really important, I think, to have the same doctor. I had the same general practitioner for, 20 years, and then he left. So I had to get a new one, didn't like that. But the nice thing is that they know you, and they've had you in before, so if something is going on, they know that maybe you have a history of something
Mm-hmm.
that could turn into something else, or they just know you better,
That's-
and they can tell that there's something different this time than last time, and that makes a difference.
It makes a big difference. And I think what's important too is that I think you have a better ability to talk to the doctors now through some of the email and secure myhealthyvet.com websites, where you go in there and you can actually email your doctor and get a response within 24 hours. The old days, you'd make a phone call, 1-800-I-DON'T-CARE, and you'd try and get in, and you'd leave a message, and you'd say the sky is blue, and by the time the doctor got it, it was the sky is black and it's raining. Just nothing ever really gelled. Now with myhealthyvet.com, you can go in, talk to every one of your doctors through email, set appointments, cancel appointments, change things around, order your pharmaceuticals online. It's fantastic. And so I really like it. I'm an advocate when originally I wasn't, but the more I've dealt with them, the better it's been. In fact, I went to a doctor, and VA said, well, with that condition, we want you to go to UCSF and talk to them too for a second opinion. So I went there, talked to their doctor, and he said, well, who are you trying to see? And I said, VA in Mather Field. And he goes, oh, I know a couple of the doctors there. The next day I got a phone call from the doctors, and it turned out that his he practices at the VA, and then he also does UC Davis. So the appointments they were setting me up for at UC Davis was with the same doctor that was at VA. So I said to him, who's got the better equipment? He says, VA's got the best, newest equipment, so we'll just do it here instead of at UC Davis. So there's a lot of changes and a lot of people that are trying to help.
That is really wonderful, because I think for years, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there was a feeling that the care you got from the VA was somewhat substandard. So I'm really glad to hear that it has changed a lot. And we talked about, well, you were at senior providers meeting, so we talked about the burn pits. I'd like to talk about that again
Sure.
today, because I think that's so important, the legislation that has come back through to address those issues.
That's right. In 2022, they passed a law called the PACT Act, which is now started in January. And what it does is instead, in the old days, you had to prove that you had done something. Oh, prove that I was in Vietnam and that I got Agent Orange, or I had to prove that I was in Afghanistan and there was burn pits. Now the presumption is, if you were there, the presumption is you were exposed. So that opens up the doors. So the Vietnam veteran who fought with VA for years about getting seen for Agent Orange because he's got coughing, or he had cancer, or he had, just nothing was right,
Right.
can be seen, and it's free. Same with post 9/11. So those service people who were in Afghanistan, Iraqi Freedom, Desert Storm, any of the wartime issues, they now can be seen, and we're trying to find them. The interesting part is that if you didn't serve in, let's say, Afghanistan, it was funny when I talked to the government, I talked to one of the people about it, and he said, look, the only reason you wouldn't have gone to Afghanistan is because we didn't send you.
Okay.
You were ready to go, it was your mission, but no, you didn't go because we didn't need you there. That's the only reason. So they give that status to the people that were there, in country.
Okay, so I get the same status if I was serving during Desert Storm, but I served in a staging area in San Francisco, as if I were over and serving in the
Right.
action
Yeah.
itself.
It's because it was a wartime. So
Great.
you take a Vietnam veteran and you say, well, he's Vietnam era veteran, which tends to know instead of Vietnam veteran.
Right.
Vietnam veteran is somebody like me that was actually there,
Sure.
and some of the people that I know that were in country fighting.
Right.
And then you take the guy that was in Germany, and he was putting Agent Orange in a plane. They got flown over to Southeast Asia. He's covered. So it really opens up the doors for healthcare.
It really does. And I graduated high school in 1974, so Agent Orange was a big deal about that time. And I remember, the congressional hearings and the this and the that to try to get, actually first for the VA to acknowledge that
Mhm.
Agent Orange was actually a problem.
Right. Right.
That took years for that to happen.
Well, they had to admit that it was a problem.
Well,
and there's the
that.
problem.
Yeah.
Who wants to admit that it is, something that they
Yeah.
did wasn't right? But I think the most important part is that today they're trying to find the veterans, give them the help that they need, and you don't have to be embarrassed about it.
Exactly.
And if you've had a condition that you came back from, all of a sudden you have a cough, and you've always had a cough, and come in and see. Find out if it's a problem. The other side of that is to be able to be compensated for that disability. So we see a lot of veterans that come back and I'm fine, but they really aren't.
Right.
And the VA has a program to compensate you for your disability. So if you came back and you had tinnitus, it's really funny is anybody that shot a gun usually has ringing in their ears. If they award that, that's 10%,
Okay.
and that's $150, $200, let's say.
Okay.
Those $200 they weren't getting, $200 they get from now on because of the tinnitus. They don't go back to when you were in the service, they just go back to when you asked to be examined.
Okay.
And the same with hearing. So it's another hearing loss is different than tinnitus. So they can be rated for that, for hearing loss. which means they now have to get hearing aids, anything that's with that, and it just goes on and on and on. So whatever you have today, it's always good to go find out, because if you can get some compensation, it doesn't take long. It's better for you, it's better for us, better for the community. What's interesting is that the Veterans Service Office down in Valley Springs, our job is to advocate for you, so you don't have to do all the paperwork. You just bring us what we ask for, which is usually DD-214, any medical records, anything that is pertaining to what was going on. What's really surprising is that most veterans have paperwork they've kept since they were in the service.
I'll be darned, that's amazing.
55, 60 years, they're pulling stuff out,
Wow.
and you're going, the paper's about ready to fall apart, but nope, that's a paper that he got when he was in Italy, and so here it is, and that's a medical record.
Right.
And I'm surprised at some of the stuff that comes out of the locker, so to speak, when they want to give you information. But we just ask, bring that information in. We send in a letter of intent to the VA. We say, okay, the clock starts today,
Right.
and we're going to put in for tinnitus for your ears. So then they'll come back and say, okay, we need to see him, set up an appointment, go down, see the doctor. Doctor says, yep, you definitely have tinnitus. Then it goes in front of the board, doesn't take too long, and then you get a rating. We find out about it, you find out about it. And so if you put in an intent in January, but by the time you got through with everything, it was September, you would have been back paid the 9 months at $200 a month for all that time. It's easy money, it's non-taxed, it's not stuff that has to be told to everybody, but it's wonderful.
You deserve it.
Absolutely.
Anybody, as far as I'm concerned, anybody that has served in the armed forces deserves every bit of medical care and everything that they get, because it's a huge responsibility, and it's why I go and vote. You know, somebody died so I could vote. And
That's right.
I really, two things. I'm really impressed with the attitude of the VA today.
Mhm.
Unlike Medicare, who is now actually trying to find more reasons not to pay for things, the veterans have gone and completely turned that around. And I think it's wonderful. It's just amazing that you don't have to fight for what you deserve anymore. And so really I encourage everybody that's listening out there, if you tried to get help for Agent Orange and you just never could get through it, please contact Phil. He will help you, and our veteran services in this county will help you. They want to help you. So try again.
That's right. Always try. And you know, if they say no, I was talking to a veteran this morning that was in the Navy, and a neighbor of mine, and he said, well, I put in for this and got 10% for that and 20% for this and 30. And I said, wow, that's pretty good. She goes, yeah, I was at 70, now I'm at 90. And I'm going, well, that's decent. And he says, the funny part is I've always had these problems. Nobody really cared.
Right.
Now it seems that VA cares, and the way they're doing is they compensate them. The other
Yes.
side of the coin is you don't always have to go to VA. We actually are an hour away from Mather. And the rules are, if you're an hour away from the hospital itself, they can set you up with community care, which is a local doctor. So if you say, well, I can't make it to Mather,
Okay.
and I live in Mountain Ranch, they'll try and find a doctor that's around here that you can see that will accept VA, just as like you're going to VA. They give them complete control of the care, so if they send you to this hospital or that place, it's paid for, and VA does all the billing, so or pays all the bills. So there's a lot of things that are happening to try and help you. You don't have to worry about it. I think the hardest part for us is getting the people that, a lot of the veterans, they look at their friends and they say, well, he's missing an arm, he's
Right.
missing a foot, take care of him, I got 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 feet, both eyes, both ears. And they don't take into account the emotional strain of being in the military, the physical exertion of being in the military and doing a lot of things, working 20 hours a day, sometimes 24 hours a day, you know, being on station, working on a ship. where you're on call 24/7. So they think, well, not me, take care of the guy that's missing an arm. But in fact, the veterans that have all their parts still have problems.
Absolutely.
And those are the guys that we try and find, because they're the ones that, by and large, don't even mention that they were in the military. A lot of times you say, are you a veteran? It's easier to say, when did you serve? You can always tell a veteran.
Uh-huh.
Always. Veterans got their hat, it's squared away, it's on, it says veteran on it, even if it says Nike, it's squared away, it's nice. He'll look you in the eye. I mean, it's really impressive when you see a veteran. You don't have to sit there and work at it. You
Yes.
just look at them for a little bit and say, you were in the service. And they go, yeah. When? 66 to 68. Have you been to VA? Nah, don't need to. Have ringing in the ears? Oh, had it ever since.
Go to the VA.
Go to VA. And that's when you're pulling them and you're saying, come on, don't be a donkey, don't just stand there, let's get you in there. And it's surprising when they come back and they're saying, oh, this is fantastic. It grows community, it grows with the county. The county sees revenue, basically, that they wouldn't have seen before by having people here. You get a sense of more community with the veteran. They're more
Sure.
tied to the county. They want to be here. They see that they're actually putting money into the county because they can afford things they never could afford.
Exactly.
That's when the benefits really start looking good. And we have a program person, Neil Parrish. He works with us too, and he has groups for veterans. And so he's got 4 groups so far. One of them meets in Murphy's, another meets in Copperopolis, another in Valley Springs. He's setting up one up in West Point, and we also have a group for women. So with those, we believe that veterans talking to veterans always helps.
I think so, because it's a lot easier to talk to somebody who has the same framework to refer to as you do. I mean, I cannot ever truly understand what it's like to be in combat. What I can say is I don't know how anybody could ever be in combat and not come back with PTSD. How do you ever go to sleep at night again and not have some little part of your mind wondering if a bomb's going to fall on you?
Yeah, or it's just you hear the snap,
Right.
and you look. We can tell some PTSD people, they always sit in the back looking at the door so they can watch them.
Right.
They're always looking around. They're always checking things out. They're a little nervous. They act shy. That's typically somebody that's had some issues. But what's interesting is you don't have to be in combat to have that happen.
Okay.
And I was on a ship stationed out of Pearl Harbor, and we ran into an aircraft carrier.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Wasn't very fast. Was a lot of problems that happened up there, but I still have dreams about us banging into it because I was on a tanker, which we knew that if it caught fire, it was just a fireball.
Right.
And so we all were pretty nervous as we saw us turning into the carrier because we lost steering. And we were refueling them. So we're 50 to 75 feet apart going down the middle of the ocean with a flag on and pumping fuel. And all of a sudden we started to head into them. I still vividly remember that. Whether they want to call that PTSD or not, it's still something that happened to me that wouldn't have happened had I not been there.
That is true. And I bet when they just did recently with the Chinese almost hitting one of our carriers, I bet that brought back some pretty bad memories right now.
It does, yeah. I said, I know how they feel. It's interesting, too, you talk to a veteran, and sometimes a veteran talking to a veteran understands the story.
Right.
And says, oh, yeah, that happened to me, too. And, you're talking this real wild stuff that happened, and they're going, oh, yeah, we did that, too. Where civilians don't have that. They don't have that kind of interaction with other countries, other people. I can tell you that being a veteran is very important to me now. It wasn't for a while. When I came back, we didn't talk much to many people. And we really didn't raise the flag too much because it
Right.
wasn't one that anybody wanted to see. But, I realized how wonderful our country is when I watched another country fall.
Yes, absolutely.
When Vietnam fell and people were coming out in boats and they're save me, and they've got cows and birds and stuff, and
Right,
we're pulling up, people onto the ship, searching them, making sure they didn't have to throwing things over to the side. That was just amazing.
right.
And yet you sit there and you go, well, how does that not affect you? How do you not? I came back and said, I love my country. This is the place to be. When I look at all the other, and as riddle as it can seem, it's still the best place in the world. And if you talk to a veteran, that's what's in his heart. He goes, I love it. I love my country. I don't mind the service that I did. May not have had the best experience, but I still served.
Right.
Because when we were in, it was volunteer when I went in. But the important part is that we're here as an office, as a team, to help people get what they deserve, get what they're supposed to have, and get medical help.
And there was a gentleman I just met down at the feed store a few weeks ago who said he was in Vietnam, and when he got wounded, and they asked him if he wanted a disability discharge or an honorable discharge, and he went with the honorable because he didn't understand what he was giving up.
Right, right.
But a few years ago, somebody from our Veteran Services got a hold of him, and he now has his benefits that he should have had all the way along. But, unfortunately that can't go all the way back. But he's really grateful that now he gets the benefits that he deserved, and I think it further illustrates the sea change in the Veteran Services in that nowadays they wouldn't give him that option. They would just automatically give you the disability.
Well, they'd still offer it to him, but they probably give him a better explanation of what it means
Exactly.
to have a medical discharge versus there's when you get medically discharged, it's an honorable condition, so it doesn't matter. It's still honorable.
Right.
It's still an honorable discharge. But it's important that people understand what they have and what they can use. What's interesting too is that I've talked to some World War II veterans that we have in the county, and we have a few that were POWs in Germany and in Japan, and people that fought in Guadalcanal. They went until their 90s before they decided it was time to go find out.
Oh my goodness.
Because VA just never said anything to anybody, and
Right.
it was always this building on the side that nobody talked to. And so we've met some, we've talked to them, we're giving them benefits they never thought they would have, but they were in World War II.
Right.
This is 2023, and they still won't have benefits. It's just amazing, and they don't talk about it. But when you look at their papers or something, you go, oh my gosh, you were in Guadalcanal, you were in Saipan, yep, and you're 92, yep. Or you're going to be 100 years old, yep. And now you're finally saying, okay, I'll talk to the VA about it. But there's, in the county, I think, I just read something where it showed that we had, I think, 20 Purple Heart veterans that we know of. We've got 7 or 8 Medal of Honor winners,
Oh my goodness.
and 7 or 8 POWs that we know about in the county. And so when you think about that, and it could be the guy that's standing next to you in line that's got a cane,
Yes.
and he's got it, nobody even noticed because he's not saying anything to anybody, nobody's talking to him, so it's something he has by himself. And I think we need to honor those people that do that as much as we can, because they did give up part of their life, no matter what it was, and they were honored for it.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's a great job. I retired when I was 66 from my day job, and had the opportunity to come here, and this is my giving back to the community. It's a phenomenal job, and I love it. I love meeting the people. I'm never surprised. Some of the people that we have in our county amaze me, and it's a great small county. We moved up after 30 years in Lodi, and I wanted to come up here to Calaveras County. It is a great place to live, a great place for my grandkids to live. We moved up here, and four of our kids moved up here too. And so I always thought, well, I guess I didn't move far enough away. But they're up here and I got kids in school and I see what's happening and the county's doing the best they can, but it's a great place to live. We need to make sure that we're honoring the people that made this county what it is. And part of those people are veterans.
Absolutely. And we did talk a little bit about now there's going to be a new VA, is it a hospital in Stockton?
They're building it right now, and I think it's if I'm not mistaken, it's a medical center. But it will be an hour from here, which is pretty interesting. You can go to, that's when it opens, and that should be, I think, by the end of this year. And it's also going to have housing for the challenged
Okay.
people that don't have housing now, so we can refer people down there. There's also one in Sonora, an outpatient clinic in Sonora, and one in Modesto. So they're all around us. The one thing I know we're trying to get, which we haven't secured yet, but there's a van, I guess, that leaves Sonora every day that goes to Mather.
Oh,
we're trying to
nice.
get it so it'll stop here and pick up veterans to go over there. But you know, if you're a veteran and your challenge is transportation, let us know that. I've been known to put people in the car and drive them to Mather for their appointments. We also can work with Common Grounds will help. There's other transportation companies. And there's people at the VFW that are willing to spend their time and money to get somebody to an appointment. So there's really not many excuses for not coming in and talking to us.
I agree. It sounds like there's a lot of good reasons to come and talk to you, if for nothing else, to talk to another veteran and have a nice conversation and a cup of coffee maybe.
Yep, always got it. It's always warm. There's always usually a few donuts or something in there. And I would like to say that on Thursdays is our walk-in day.
Okay.
So most of the time you have to have an appointment. There's two people that actually do all the paperwork. They're up to their eyeballs in papers, you know, doing their stuff. So we have appointments for them. But Thursdays is walk-in day, so you can come in anytime between 9 and 1 and 2 and 4. And you're in line. Usually lasts about 10 minutes, 15.
Okay.
And then we bring you in and talk to you. You don't have to have an appointment. But the rest of the time, all you have to do is call and give us what you need, and we'll make sure we're there. We also make home visits. So if there's veterans that can't get out, don't want to get out, find that's a challenge, we're more than happy to go over there and talk to them. Make sure that if they need Medicare, if they need adult protective services or anything else, we're there to supply that to them and offer it to them, so that we're there to help them.
Okay. And then you still have a dental van that comes up once in a while, is that correct?
Well, we have a dental outreach
Okay.
that we're excited about. We're probably going to start working on it here in the next couple of months, but it's with First Impressions Dental, Dr. Shannon Russell in Angels Camp. And he's donated time 1 day a year to help veterans that don't have dental insurance.
That's amazing.
So we try and put together where we bring some food in and all that, and it's right there by Angels Market.
Okay.
And First Impressions is his dental practice. Young guy, never been in the service, but loves to give back to the community, and he does. I know that last year he probably did close to $20,000 worth of free dental work in 1 day for veterans.
That's amazing.
And it was cleaning cavities, fixing dentures, whatever he could do in his office, fixed a couple bridges, he does it. And we start talking about that now. In the past, we've had a medical van that comes up here from Palo Alto
Uh-huh.
that's staffed with a doctor and a PA. And we've had 3 or 4 different locations that we go to and bring the van 3 or 4 times. Since VA changed their geographic location, we're now part of Northern California, so we're under Mather and Martinez. They're building them a van.
Oh, nice.
So as soon as that one gets going, I think it'll probably be next year. That one will be coming up with a doctor and a doctor and a PA on it, and they're there. If you're a veteran, you want to see a doctor, just have to show up and they'll take care of you free of charge.
Okay. So what's the phone number over it to get a hold of you?
Easy, 209-754-6910. Easy to find. You can also go to the Calaveras County website, and down at the bottom, somewhere in the middle, it says Veteran Service. You can click that. That'll give you the same options. It'll give you the same numbers. You can call and You either want to talk to myself or Neil, or you can just say, I need to make an appointment to come in. We'll be more than happy to set you up with an appointment, or you can always come in on Thursdays.
And then you're located in Valley Springs.
Valley Springs behind the Veteran Service Center that's down there, the big blue building by the elementary school. We have the back quarter of it. The county lets us have that, which is phenomenal that it's down there. We like it too because it's kind of off to the side. And it's not in downtown San Andreas. They can go and it's kind of a nice place to, out of the way, and there's a lot that happens over there. So we enjoy where we're at. So you can call us, you can email us, you can do a lot of stuff, but we're always available. And we're in the yellow pages. I think they still have them now. I saw an ad the other day, but we're easily reachable. And actually, if you see a police officer, you see somebody, first responders, they know where we're at too because we talk to them a lot.
Okay. So my last question that I really am interested in, I guess, is how are you reaching the homeless veterans?
It's not easy.
I would guess not.
It's not easy, and some of them don't want to be found.
Okay.
And so when we see them, usually we have a couple of services that we've started up again. Veterans Court is one that started. Veterans Substance Abuse, that's another program that we're starting back up again.
Okay.
And also a mentoring program that the Veteran Service Officer, Brian, is putting together so that we can have mentoring between veterans and older veterans.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, he's putting that program together. That should be next year or the end of this year. But we try and find the homeless. And when we find out they're veterans, we start to talk to them. We aggressively start to talk to them. And the same goes for people that become incarcerated. We'll find out, one of the questions that they ask when they go to jail for anything is, are you a veteran?
Okay.
If they say yes, we get an email, and then we can go up and talk to them and say, hey, can we help you? Is there anything that we can do to help you not be in this situation? And so we can help in that sense. But we try and find the homeless. Unfortunately, the county doesn't have a lot of homeless shelters
Correct.
and homeless places to stay. Sometimes we have to send them to Jackson, sometimes we have to send them to Sonora because those counties are better equipped because they're bigger.
Right.
I'm understanding that the Habitat for Humanity is building some homes in Angels Camp that could be available for homeless. But I know that every time we find somebody, we actually just start talking to them, find out what we can do. If they're hungry, they can go down to San Andreas Community Covenant Church for meals on Wednesdays. If they're a senior, we make sure they can go up. They know that they can go up here for meals during the week.
Sure.
So it's everything we can do to help them. But sometimes it's hard to find, and they're in the woodwork or they're way up in the hills.
Or they're in the woods.
They're in the woods, and
Yeah.
you trip over by accident.
Yeah.
But the more we can find, the better off we'll be. And we've helped a lot. One case in particular, we helped. He had PTSD and homeless, and he went from 0 to 100%.
Oh, good.
So his life changed,
Yes.
and he's making something of himself, which is very important.
It's really important.
And that we always feel good about how that's helped him, and we were always kind of watching over him.
Yeah. Well, that is wonderful. I am just so impressed with how the VA has changed, and I'm actually really impressed with the county too.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first came up here and became aware of things that were going on in the county, there was, I think, a half-time Veterans Services Coordinator, and that was funded by a grant position, and that was it. And now you've got an office.
We've got an office, we have a car, and there's 4 of us, and then we have a receptionist. So yeah, we're a real place with computers and all kinds of good stuff, name badges, and so yeah, it's come a long way, and really the county has been 100% behind it, 100%, which is surprising because I know other veterans outreach guys that are pulling their hair out, going, my county won't help me, they won't let me do anything, I can't go here, I can't go there, I can't say this, I can't, and you throw their hands up. Here,
Yeah.
It's not that way. It's kind of like, let's go find them, let's see what we can do for them. It's our county. It helps us let's just move forward and get it done. And that's what we try and do.
Absolutely. And then just quickly, let's touch on the drug court and the Veterans Court a little bit. So the purpose of having a special court for veterans would be so that they get assessed and evaluated in the context of perhaps having PTSD, so that rather than throw them into a jail cell and say, oh, well, you screwed up, you can get them the help that they need and they can go on to a better path.
That's actually what it is. I mean, we're looking at PTSD and some of the emotional problems that happen when you're in the service carry over and you don't realize it. But we see people that have anger issues, you know, they've had some domestic violence, they've had something. If we can reach them now and we can recognize that, hey, you were okay. And one thing that we have to look at is when the person went in the service, he or she was in their best state.
Correct.
When they got out of the service, what was the difference? And so we look at that, and through Veterans Court and through the substance abuse process, we can actually weed those people out and try and say, look, you know, you're on. Take this path to the right and you're in trouble. Take this path to the left. Why don't you go straight ahead and we'll show you how to get there. That tends to work. It's worked in the past. VA has a lot of inpatient and outpatient opportunities for people, even if they have to leave the state. There's places in Texas, there's places in Palo Alto, there's places in Iowa that are for veterans and substance abuse that just need to get away.
Right.
As long as they're in the military and they're a veteran, we can see if they qualify to go, and that's what's important. If not, we try and work with the local places around here to help them too. But Veterans Court, same thing. Veterans get in a little bit of trouble, we try and mentor them up with somebody that's a older veteran, try and give them a better path, you know. So it's a tough road, especially when there's no rule books.
Yeah, that's true.
You're just trying to make sure the goal is always to help somebody. And so sometimes we get it wrong, sometimes we get it right, but I think we get it right more than we get it wrong. And I think the veterans that have been serviced by our office will attest to the fact that we're there to help them. And the last thing I say is that our manager, Brian, he said, when you're at home, we've got your back, we've got your six. And that's important because the veterans out there know that that's what's most important is who's behind them and protecting them. And that's what we are always trying to do is make sure that they've got somebody that's behind them, protecting them, and giving them the help that they need.
Well, that is amazing. I appreciate you coming on today, and I look forward to talking to you in the future. So when you get some new programs going or you want to reach out a little bit more, then let me know and we'll...
Anytime. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you inviting me down here. This is the first time I've done this, so it's pretty good and pretty interesting. And I could probably keep going for another hour, but it's not. That's not what we have. But I think if you're a veteran and you're out there, don't hesitate. Just pick up the phone, look online, ask somebody, get to us, and we'll see what we can do to help you.
Perfect. Well, thank you all you podcasters for listening to us today, and I look forward to having you join us in the future.